Hello and welcome to the third Android basic video. In the last video I showed you how to navigate and use the clips properly. In this video I am going to show you how to use one layout. So what is a layout? Well, simply put, it is an object that positions every object inside it correctly. Without a layout, your buttons, text, etc. wouldn't appear on the screen because they aren't being told where they are supposed to be. I'm going to show you how to use a layout called LinearLayout. This type of layout can position objects either horizontally or vertically as shown in the video. So let's go on with actual programming. We're gonna start up by opening up our main.xml file. This will be the layout file of the first screen of the application. If you go over to the graphical layout, you can see that it consists of one text basically. And if you go over to main.xml part over here, you can see that it is actually two objects, one layout and one text object. What we're going to do is that we're going to remove the text and add two buttons really fast, just by going over to the graphical layout and going to form widgets and then pull them in over here. As you can see, they align themselves vertically. It is because the orientation of the linear layout is vertical. If you switch it to horizontal, they will align themselves horizontally after each other, as you can see here. There are some commands for every object. You can access them by typing Android and then a colon mark, I think it's called. And you can see every command here. For example, orientation, should the layout be a column or a row, blah blah blah. Gravity, where it places them. And touch visibility, if it should be visible. Yeah, there are quite many commands for every object. We're going to switch this one linear layout back to vertical. And we're going to create a new linear layout from scratch. Every object in XML begins with an less than mark. This one over here. And after you type this out, you can see a number of objects we can create. As I said before, we are going to go to linear layout. This part over here only has to be in the beginning of the first object. So you don't have to type it over again for every object. Just leave it in the first as it is, as the default is. Next, we need to specify the width of our layout. We're going to set the width to the entire screen. Fill underscore parent. What this means is that it is going to be as wide as the parent layout, this one. And this parent is basically the screen, so both of them will take up the entire screen on the width. We're going to set this one to wrap underscore content, the height of our first linear layout. This will do so the layout is only as big, as high as our content inside it is. We're now going to specify the height of our second layout. We're going to set it to wrap content also. And then we're going to set the orientation to horizontal. When you have finished creating an object in XML, you have to finish by a greater sign, like this. After that, Eclipse automatically entirely closes the object, but we don't want that yet. So we're just gonna put it at the end of the file. Basically everything between this one, this line, less than / linear layout, greater than, and the beginning of the linear object. Everything inside this will contain, the objects inside will be inside the layout. As you can see, they don't position themselves vertically, as our first layout indicates. They go horizontally because they are inside this layout. So what we're going to do is that we're going to copy this button, just for showing, inside the first layout. As you can see now, they are first vertically positioned, and then inside the other layout there are 2 buttons horizontally. If we would set the height to field_parent, our objects wouldn't change right now, but if we would create another layout, they wouldn't show up because this layout would take up the entire screen, both in the width and the height. So we're just going to leave that wrap content for now. So that is how you create a linear layout. It's really easy, but it's always a beginning. You know how to position your objects, and I'm also going to show you one last thing. We're going to use another command called Android weight sum. Let's look it up here. Android weight sum. We're going to set it to 2. Basically, this decides how much space every object inside the layout should take up. So inside one of the buttons, I'm going to type Android layout underscore weight to 1, which is half of the sum of the entire layout. I'm going to do the same to this button. What it should now is that it should take up half of the screen. Yes, as you can see, it works. So basically, if we would have 3 buttons, set it to 3, make another button with 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3, which means it will take up the entire space. 3 buttons take up just 3 buttons take up as much space. So we're going to set 1 to 2, 1 to 1.5, and we're going to see the result. As you can see, this button is about twice the size of the others. So now you know another way. I decided that I will also show you one last thing, and it is called the gravity. It will define where the objects in the layout should be. So basically, I'm going to remove 2 of these objects, and we're not going to make it take up the entire screen. As you can see, it is in the middle of the layout. It is sorted horizontally, so it will be in the exact middle of the screen, horizontally of course. We are now going to run the project by going to run, and then you would probably have to select run as Android device, Android application. It takes some time for the device to load up, so I'm gonna cut the video while we wait. Here is the little application running. As you can see, I can press the buttons, but nothing happens. You see the title of our application over here. So that's how you define where your objects should be, how big, how much space they should take up. Yeah, so that was all for this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you like the videos, and maybe thumb them up. Have a nice day. I'll see you around.